What's good, YouTube? It's your boy DC. We here with the new reaction video, the Power Book 2 Go Season 3, Episode 1 and Episode 2. This is my quick thoughts, my quick review, my quick recap on both Episodes 1 and Episodes 2. This is my first official recap as well on YouTube. So if you like the videos I upload and create, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button, and make sure you turn on your post bell notifications to get all the videos that I upload. I will be breaking down all Power content. I will be reviewing Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, and Power Book 4, Force, when those shows air in the future, and as well as all of my other favorite TV shows. So if you like the videos I upload and create, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button. So episode 1 starts off with the introduction to a new character by the name of Noma. Now we first see Noma at this auction house. She notices a blue diamond ring being sold for $5.5 million. Now apparently, the blue diamond ring that's being auctioned off belongs to her. And this ring was promised to her by her fiance and former lieutenant, Mecca, aka Dante Spears. Now we see Noma approach the buyer of the ring, demanding the ring back. At the time, the buyer was proposing to his wife and refused to give Noma the ring back, telling Noma and her goons to go about their day, go F they selves, and get out his face. Now, instead of Noma taking the ring back from his wife, Noma cuts off his wife's hand. Take the ring off the hand that she cuts off and place the ring back on her fingers. Then execute them with no hesitation. Well, her goon, Obi, a new character that we got introduced to, execute them with no hesitation. Now, while we're on the topic of Noma and Obi, we see Noma and Obi approach Kane, Tariq, and Braden later on in the episode at Mecca's old penthouse. Now, she's confused and wondering why Reek, Braden, and Kane is partying in Mecca's penthouse and want to know who's responsible for his death. She's questioning one of his old former associates, Rocky, at the time, trying to figure out what happened to Mecca. Now, everyone is clueless and doesn't know what happened to Mecca, doesn't have the answer that Noma wants to hear. Now, in the process of Rocky explaining herself to Noma, she ends up calling Noma out by her name, which leads to Noma to shoot Rocky in the back of her head with no hesitation. Now, Tariq explains to Noma that he doesn't know what happened to Mecca, but him, Kane, and Braden moved all of his product. Kane also chimes in and let her know that him, Tariq, and Braden were Mecca soldiers, and they all was working with Mecca at the time, before his ultimate demise. Braden also lets Noma know that they could continue on keeping the cash flow going for her, and take over Mecca's spot in her organization, and become her new New York City district. Now Noma's intrigued, and she tasks Kane, Tariq, and Braden to move all of Mecca's old product, and they have 30 days to prove that they're worthy of taking over Mecca's spot in her organization. And she also let them know that if anybody has any information on Mecca's killer, it would be worth their while. We see the Tejada family 3 months later after the events that occurred in the Season 2 finale. Now, last season of the Season 2 finale, Monet's firstborn Ezekiel Cross was shot and killed by Monet's husband, Lorenzo Tejada, while he was trying to pursue Mecca at his hangar. But Lorenzo didn't know it was Zeke that he shot instead of Mecca, and accidentally killed him in the process of pursuing Mecca. Now, while Monet is grieving the loss of her son, we see David stop by the house to inform her that Dante Spears' old penthouse now belongs to her. So it was revealed to us last season that Mecca and Monet had a relationship in the past before she was married to Lorenzo. It was also revealed to us that Mecca was Ezekiel Cross's father. Mecca left everything that he had in his will for his son Zeke, and with the unfortunate passing of Mecca and Zeke, Monet was granted access to Mecca's old penthouse. But Monet wants to sell the penthouse, and she lets Kane and Drew live in the penthouse until she finds a buyer for it. Now we get to Tariq, and Tariq ended up catching another body in this episode. Tariq kills Simon Stern's ex-husband, Sebastian, aka Bash. Now earlier in the episode, Bash approaches Tariq and Braden and demands both of them to pay him money to keep it silent, or he's going to tell the cops about Reek being the real creator of the Course Correct app. Now later on in the episode, Tariq meets up with Bash at his hotel trying to do business with Bash and trying to get Bash to clean his money, but Bash wasn't having it and started disrespecting Tariq, telling Tariq he's just like his father, only difference is he's in a college jacket and his father was in a Tom Ford suit. Bash continues to run his mouth and disrespect Tariq, which led up to Tariq picking up a knife off the table and stabbing Sebastian multiple times, catching another body in the first episode. Now, in the Season 2 finale, Braden admitted to being the campus drug dealer behind the Course Correct app in court while Tariq was on trial for murder, which resulted in his father pulling him out of Stansfield to work at the family hedge fund, Weston Holdings. Fast forward later, we see Braden at the hedge fund with his uncle Lucas Weston, a new character we also got introduced to. His uncle lets him know that the Course Correct app was a genius idea, and if he still went to Stansfield, that would have been something he would have thought of. but he also lets him know that he should never admit it to being the creator of the app in open court. Braden lets his uncle know that he had to admit to it, but Lucas lets him know that he's a Weston, and Weston always have choices. As the conversation continues, Uncle Lucas introduces Braden to Kiki Travis, an employee at Weston Holdings, who is also going to be his love interest as well. But from what I read online about the descriptions of Kiki character has her own personal agenda, and her overall goal is to gain intel on Tariq and Braden's drug business at Weston Holdings. Now, Jenny will be forming a local and federal task force with the help of DEA agent Blanca Rodriguez to try and nail Tariq and the Tejada family under RICO. Jenny has a theory that Tariq, Braden, Davis, and the Tejada family is all working together in the criminal drug enterprise network. Jenny believes Tariq and the Tejada family are both involved with the murders of NYPD officer Detective Ramirez, Stansfield professor Jabari Reynolds, Carrie Milgo, and criminal informant Dante Meca-Spears. And Jenny wants to take Tariq and the Tejada family down by any means necessary, as well as Blanca. Real Power fans know Blanca been after the St. Patrick family since the original Power. And every time she went after the St. Patrick family, she lost the battle. So Blanca has a major chip on her shoulder and is willing to apprehend any St. Patrick family member. Blanca lets Jenny know that Tariq was in Mega's penthouse the night of his murder, and she doesn't want to make it public to spook him. Jenny also informs Blanca that she has a CI plant in their organization that is willing to help out to apprehend Tariq and the Tejada family. But what Blanca doesn't know is that Jenny's CI is Cooper Sachs, a former U.S. attorney who is now working with Davis McLean as a defense attorney, who also had a former work relationship in the past with Blanca Rodriguez when he was in law enforcement, who was also sleeping with Jenny Sullivan as well in exchange for information. Now, Davis will be seeking help from Cooper Sachs with the Theo Rollins case. Theo is currently in jail for a manslaughter charge that he was wrongly convicted of. But what Sachs doesn't know is that Theo Rollins is Davis McLean's brother, and Davis is also the one that committed the manslaughter charge that Theo is sitting in jail for now. We learned earlier in the episode that Theo is dying from hepatitis B and hepatitis D, which is causing his liver to fail. David wants to get his brother out of jail as soon as possible so he can seek the treatment he needs in order to survive, but he will need the help of Sachs in order to get his wrongly convicted brother out. Now, Davis is aware of the relationship Sachs is having with Jenny Sullivan, but what Davis doesn't know is that Sachs is helping her out in order to apprehend him and the Tejada family under RICO charges, which will cause issues between them. Now, we get to the end of the episode to find out Lauren Baldwin is alive. We see Jenny Sullivan pull up to an unknown house surrounded by law enforcement agents. As she walks in the door, Lauren Baldwin turns around and asks her, "How long do I have to pretend to be dead?" Lauren is ready to leave and go back to her normal life, but Jenny lets her know that she cannot leave yet until the investigation that she has against Tariq and the Tejada family. Episode 2 starts off with the flashback of what happened with Lauren the night Effie supposedly took her out. Now, Effie knocked Lauren out, placed her in the car, drove the car out of the city, and pushed it into the water, leaving Lauren to drown. But apparently there was a dog walker outside at the time and saw the vehicle sinking in the water and called 911 for help. Lauren told Jenny that Effie knocked her out and tried to kill her, and Braden was the one that drove her out to the woods. But Jenny doesn't have the evidence to prove Effie and Braden was involved in it. Now, Lauren tells Jenny she wants to go home, but Jenny lets her know that she can't leave because everyone thinks she's dead, including her parents, and she needs Lauren to keep pretending like she's dead until her investigation against Tariq and his whole organization is complete. Speaking of the organization, we see Kane, Braden, Tariq, and Effie meet up with Obi at Norma's warehouse to pick up product. Norma is currently in Paris and has Obi watching over her operation until she gets back. Braden suggests they should move some of the product at his family hedge fund due to a large market and a high demand. But Tariq doesn't want to risk doing business anywhere near the Western name, due to Braden admitting to being a drug dealer in court last season, the season 2 finale. But once Braden learned from Tariq that he'll be taking an internship with Rashad Tate at his campaign in order to gain extra course credit hours, Braden started creating a plan to manipulate Tariq into taking an internship at Weston Holdings. So Braden meets up with Rashad Tate to pay him off to give Tariq internship to someone else in exchange for the Weston family votes to back his campaign, forcing Tariq to take the internship at the family's hedge fund. So Tariq takes the internship and joins Braden at the hedge fund. His dad and brother doesn't want him there, but Braden and his uncle Lucas defends Tariq's name and allow for him to take the internship at the hedge fund. Later on, Braden manipulates Tariq again by texting Kiki, having her tell Tariq to set up the conference room early for the meeting that they're having so Tariq could walk in to see the employees at the hedge fund doing coke, giving Tariq the idea to move product at the hedge fund. Braden and Tariq discuss how much they can make at the hedge fund and on Wall Street, and agreed to move product at the hedge fund, but they had to take out the current supplier in the area, which is Nick. So Rick and Braden tried to get Kane to do it, but when Kane ain't answer, they called Drew for help, and Drew took out Nick by pushing him into oncoming traffic, getting hit by a truck. Moving on to the Tejadas, we get the return to Evelyn. Evelyn shows up at the Tejada house to give her condolences in regards to Zeke's death. While talking to Monet, she informs her that Detective Whitman is asking her questions about her husband Frank and his disappearance. She also tried to give Monet money to return the favor when she lended a helping hand in a time of need, but Monet declined it. Later on in the episode, Monet was stopped by Detective Whitman and questioned about her whereabouts the night Carrie Milgram committed suicide. He lets her know that Zeke came to him about her possibly being involved in her murder and that it wasn't a suicide. He also tells her that there's a traffic cam photo of her in the area near Carrie Milgram's apartment the night of her suicide within the coroner's time of death, and that he's coming for her family. He will stop at nothing until he gets to the truth. And as Women walks off, he turns around and smashes out Monet's side mirror. Now, Lorenzo tasks Kane to find Zeke's killer. He sets up Drew to get jumped by a GTG member to cover his tracks in Zeke's murder. Kane ends up finding Mecca's pilots and tortures them about what happened at Mecca's hangar. The pilot tells them they seen the bald-headed man with the big collar jacket and the busted-out tail light. Now, Kane beats down the GTG member that jumped Drew and brought him back to Monet to be interrogated. But when Kane gave Monet Drew's chain and Zeke ring that he found in his pocket, Monet instantly killed him. After Kane and Lorenzo cleaned up the body, Kane confronted Lorenzo, letting him know that he knows he killed Zeke. Mega Pilot described the bald-headed man with the big collar jacket and the busted-out tail light being there, and that was you. He tells him that Zeke never wore his championship ring the night he was killed. He checked his IG to confirm it. He also tells him that the only person that knew Drew killed GTG member Lil Grot was Lorenzo. So how could the other GTG members know exactly who did it? Putting him right on the spot exposing the truth. Lorenzo tells Kane it was an accident, and he thought Mecca was Zeke. But Kane doesn't want to hear it. And now that he knows the truth, he tells Lorenzo he owns him. And tasks him to move Norma Prada, or else he will tell Monet he was the one that killed Zeke. Now, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button. Leave your comments and theories down below at the bottom, and I will try to get back to the comments as soon as possible. But it's your boy DC. I'm out.